This is a shir on Likutei Sichos Chelek Chav Gimel Bamidbar, the first sicha. On the pasuk in the beginning of the parsha, Eile Keruei Ha'eda. These are the called ones of the community. Nesiei Mates Avesam, the leaders of the tribes, according to the Shvatim. Roshei Alfi Yisraelim, they are the heads of the thousands of Yidden. Basically, these are the ones, the leadership of the Jewish people of the 12 tribes. So Rashi brings the words Eile Keruei Ha'eda. These are the called ones of the community, and explains Hanikroim L'chol Davar Chashivus Shebe'eda, the people that are called for all matters of importance within the community. So in Farshim, we find there's two kinds of pirushim in what Rashi means. One pirush says that Rashi comes to negate. You shouldn't think that what does Keruei Ha'eda mean? Is that they are the people that call together the community. You see, the word Keruei is obviously derived from the word Kriya, to call. So the question is, does it mean Keruei Ha'eda? They are the ones that call the community together. And Rashi is saying, no, therefore Rashi explains that no, that's not the meaning. Why wouldn't Rashi learn that? Rashi learned these are the people that are called, not the people that call others. These are the people that are called by the community. Well, why wouldn't Rashi learn that these are the people that call the community together? Because it's not something of prestige that Nesim should be the ones that need to call people together. So Rashi negated that they're the callers. He says they're the ones that are being called. The second approach to what Rashi means by his explanation here, is that the Lashon Keruei Ha'eda, from that Lashon, it would seem to be that they are the ones that are called by the community. It's not appropriate to say about Nesim, the leaders of the tribes, that they are the ones that are called, and who, so to speak, makes them come at their beckon. It's the community. It sounds like when somebody's at your call, that means you're higher than the person, you can call on him to come. It also is inappropriate. So that's why Rashi explains that this means, no, the people that are called together for all matters of importance for the community, they are taka called, and maybe they're called by the community, but not because the community is higher than them and calling them to do their bidding, so to speak. They're being called to give an eitzah, a tikkun, to give some kind of advice and to rectify something. They're being called as esteemed people for important matters that relate to the community or things that the community needs. Base. However, it's difficult to learn in Rashi these two pirushim, that that's what Rashi is coming to negate. First of all, according to the first pirush that we said, that Rashi means to say that you shouldn't think the word means that they are the ones that call the people together. So Rashi should have just, if that's what Rashi is coming to negate and explain, Rashi should have just quoted the word Keruei and says Keruei here doesn't mean that they call, it means that they are being called for important things. Square brackets here, b'chlal, to say that that's what Rashi is trying to negate because somebody may have the mistaken approach. Let me read it inside. If perhaps we're saying that there's a third possibility that Rashi is trying to negate, which is that when it says Keruei Ha'eda, what does the word Keruei mean? It means those that call the community, because the fact that they call the community actually shows on their prominence. And that's why Rashi has to say, no, they're not the ones calling, rather they are the ones being called to give advice for important things in the community. But that itself is not understood. Because if that's what Rashi is trying to negate, we have to understand, why does Rashi negate that? If you're the ones calling people together, that's actually a position of prominence. What would be wrong with that, with saying that that's what it means? Like, for example, if they're calling together the community to count them, that would be a prominent position for leaders to have. So we need to say that Rashi wouldn't be sure of that. That pirush, to say that they're the ones that call the people together, is got nothing to do with that. It wouldn't be choshev for them, but it has to do with the actual word, the taich, the translation of the word keruei. Keruei means the ones that are called, not the ones that called. So if so, that Rashi doesn't have to negate that. So the first approach to Rashi, that Rashi's negating that these are people that are called, not people that call. As we just said now, it's negated in the actual translation of the word. Keriye would be callers. Keruei means being called. So why does Rashi have to give a pirush here? It's obvious. And the second way of learning why Rashi commented on these words is also not understood. What does it mean, keruei? If in the meaning of the word keruei, we don't hear by default that they're lower than the people that are calling them. So why does Rashi have to kind of negate that possible way of learning? Obviously, if they're the ones being called by the community, that doesn't inherently say they're lower. Could that be that they're being called because they're being called upon because of their chashivas, because of their prominence? Gimel. Later on the pasuk, on the second pasuk, Vayikach Moshe v'Aaron. So Anoshim Ha'ela, Moshe and took these people, Asher Nikvu b'Shemes, which had been enunciated, spelled out by their names. Rashi says on these words, Ha'anoshim Ha'ela, these people, and says which people? Es Shnei Masar Nesim Alolu, these 12 leaders of the tribes. Then the Rashi comments on the words Asher Nikvu, which were spelled out, which were enunciated, and as Mefarish, Loi Kan b'Shemes, which were enunciated to him, to Moshe Rabbeinu here by their names. So what is Rashi giving it over here? What's Rashi adding? Because from the lengthiness of the pasuk that Moshe and Aaron, Vayikach Moshe and Aaron took these people, and it doesn't just say Vayikach Oisa Moshe and Aaron, Moshe took them, because don't forget we just said the names of the tribes. Moshe said Moshe took them. Why does the Torah have to go and repeat? Moshe took those people that Hashem had spelled out by name. So there could be a thought. The reason that this spelled out like that is because it was other people. Maybe it's not really those 12 people. The 12 people were Nesiim. And then it says that Moshe took those people that were enunciated by name, other people, in some other place. So Rashi says, no. It's these people. Shnei Moshe Nesiim Alolu. These 12 people we just mentioned, 12 leaders we just mentioned, that they were mentioned by name, right here. Loi Kan, right here. These are the people Moshe Rabbeinu took to help in the count. But that's difficult to say that without Rashi saying that we're talking about these 12 people that we just mentioned, that we would think that maybe there's some mystery people that were mentioned somewhere else that we're told to count the Bnei Yisrael with Moshe and Aaron. Why would that be? I mean, we just mentioned 12 Nesiim, it's within the context, and all of a sudden you want to say that there's kind of, it sounds like a conspiracy. Moshe and Aaron took those people which had been spelled out by name. And if Rashi wouldn't say it's those people we just mentioned, we would think there's another group of people that were mentioned somewhere surreptitiously and just hinted at over here without saying exactly who they are. To say that Rashi needs to negate such a, so to speak, I would call it a conspiracy, doesn't seem to be appropriate understanding of Rashi. Dalet. Other Mefarshim learn that Rashi is not negating here a possible, a kosal kodaitach, something you may erroneously think in the pasuk, that there were other people that were somewhere mysteriously mentioned, but actually Rashi is trying to explain here something that you may learn in a mistaken way in understanding the psukim. From the lashon that it says, Vayikach Moshe v'Aaron esa anoshim ha'ela, Moshe and Aaron took these people, it's mashma that they were stam people. He took these people, Anoshim, not because they were leaders. So Rashi says, no, these people, they're being called Anoshim here, but they're really these 12 Nesiim, these 12 leaders that we just mentioned. And they were taken because they're Nesiim. But one second, if so, you have to understand, so why Takan does the Pasuk call them Anoshim people and not call them Nesiim? What does the Pasuk say? That Moshe took these Nesiim. So it seems to be a really simple Rashi, and most people would just gloss over it. But the Rebbe wants us to understand that Rashi is coming. If Rashi comments, there's meaning, there's importance, there's depth, there's new light being shed on this whole concept. Hey, so we'll understand this by first prefacing other questions that we have in the basic understanding of these psukim. First of all, the two psukim that say these are the Eile Krue, these are the ones that are called from the community. And Vayikach Moshe took those people. L'cheira, they are redundant psukim, seemingly. The first pasuk where it says that these are the ones that are called, it already says in the beginning of this topic, the beginning of the parsha, V'itchem yiyu, Moshe and Aaron, you have to count the Jewish people. With you will be ish lamata, a man for each tribe, ish reish leveis avesavu. You will have with you the leader of each tribe. So why does the pasuk now have to say these are the Kruya Eda, these are the ones of the community that were going to be called to be together with Moshe and Aaron? And actually, furthermore, what is the second pasuk saying? That Moshe and Aaron took the people that were chosen. Why are we repeating this second? The next stage is we say Moshe and Aaron did and took those people. Obviously, Moshe and Aaron did what Hashem said. We don't find always in the Torah that the Torah tells us that Moshe and Aaron did what Hashem said. The moment Hashem said and it was given over to Moshe and Aaron, it's self-understood that that's what they did. Why does the pasuk have to spell it out? Even if for some reason we'll understand that sometimes the pasuk does, and over here perhaps the pasuk wanted to say that they actually did it. It's enough to say that they did it. Vayasokei Moshe Aaron, or Vayikach Moshe Aaron. Moshe Aaron took these people. Why do we have to also add Asher Nikvu B'Shem? Is that were enunciated by name? It's as if we need to solidify somehow the people that they took. Make clear the people who would have thought they took anybody else. They were told to take these people. So why the lengthiness in this whole description of the process? Another question is, we don't understand the continuation of Hashem's speech to Moshe. After the pasuk that says, "V'itchem yiyu ish lamata," with you would be each man for a tribe, the leaders of the tribe. Hashem says, these are the names of the people which will be with you, Reuven for Reuven, and so on. And it gives and enunciates and gives in detail the names of each nasi. L'cheira, this instruction was the first of the second month in the second year. In other words, the first of Iyar, which is a month after the Mishkan is already established. The Mishkan was established the first of Nisan of the second year from Exodus. And we all know what happened when the Mishkan was inaugurated. The Mizbeach was inaugurated by who? By 12 Nesiim. These are the same Nesiim, the leaders of the tribes, who brought Korbanos a month ago for inauguration of the Mizbeach, Hanukkah's Mizbeach. So why does the Eibushan have to say, these are the names of the people, as if he's telling us a piece of news that we didn't know? A month ago, these were the leadership that brought the special Korbanos on behalf of the tribes. Square brackets, says the Rebbe here, 1 second. The truth is that the psukim, Ve'ele Shmeisa Anoshim, it's not just a pasuk telling you some information. You see, if the pasuk was telling us information and it's not part of Hashem saying these are the names of the people, then we could say, look, we learning the Torah now, the beginning of Bamidbar, we didn't learn yet what we're going to say in the second portion of Bamidbar, Nosei, about the inauguration and the names of the Nesiim. So we don't have the information yet. So maybe that's why the Torah gives us a little blurb, so to speak, a asterisk, and say, by the way, these are the names of the leaders of the tribe. But no, this in the pasuk comes as part of what Hashem said to Moshe. Moshe, Hashem is speaking to Moshe and says, these are the name of the people that will stand with you, be with you. And he says the names of the Nesiim, but we already know who they were. Why does Hashem have to say them again? Vov. So to answer all these questions, Rashi says, Kiruei O'eda, these are people that are called Kiruei O'eda, which means they're Hanikraim L'chol Davar Chashiva Shebe'eda. They are called for all matters of prominence, of importance in the community. Here there is something new being, a Nair Inyan, a new thing is being brought out and established about these Nesiim. Not something that we know from before, not something that existed before. And this comes in continuation to previously what Rashi said on the pasuk, V'itchem yiyu ish lamata, with you there will be a man per tribe. Rashi says, Keshetivkedu Eisam, when you count them, the Bnei Yisrael, Yiyu imachem, will be with you, Nasi kol shevet v'shevet, the leader of each tribe. Parshas, what is Rashi saying here? That the leadership, the 12 leaders, will be together with Moshe and Aaron when they count the Bnei Yisrael. And not, like you may automatically assume, that every Nasi was just there as Moshe counted his tribe. So the leader of Reuven was together with Moshe and Aaron when the tribe of Reuven was counted. But the way Rashi says it, Rashi says very clearly, when you count them, they will be with you, the leader of every tribe. Rashi is saying is that the leadership of all the tribes together were participatory with Moshe and Aaron in the count of the entire Bnei Yisrael. And where does Rashi derive this? Because again, instinctively you would think Moshe and Aaron went tribe by tribe, and each tribe, so to speak, the leader of the tribe was waiting at the entrance to his tribal land, his tribal encampment. He went in with Moshe and Aaron and counted. Rashi takes this from it says, V'itchem yihiyu. It says, with you will be. And it doesn't say, Tifkedu oisam litzivaisam ata va'aron unasiya shvatim. It doesn't say, you count them at their forces, or based on their divisions, you, Aaron, and the leaders of the Shvatim. It says, with you, in the process of counting, will be the leaders of the tribes. In other words, they become a one unit with Moshe and Aaron. Moshe and Aaron, 12 leaders. And they are, so to speak, the counting commander, the counting unit, the counting brigade, the counting leadership group. They go in and count. So we now understand why would it be, Rashi's saying that, but why would it be of use that the leadership of every Nasi, of every tribe would be there for all the tribes? He's not their Nasi. Why is he connected? Let's say, why is the Nasi of Reuven going to be in the counting also of the Nasi of Yehuda and vice versa? Mela, Moshe and Aaron, they're collective people. They're the leadership of all the Jewish people. First of all, Moshe is the one who, the Goyel, the Redeemer, the Manig, the leader. Aaron is the Kohen Gadol for all Eden. So that's why they have to be part of the count of all the Shvatim. But the individual leadership of each tribe, they are seemingly not connected to each tribe. Each tribe has is so to speak funneled through the leader of their individual tribe. So we understand that we would need the leadership of that particular tribe in their tribal count. He's the leader of that tribe. Give respect to the Nasi. He's the leader. He should be part of the counting of his tribe. Or either out of kavod, out of respect, or because he had to confirm that the people that are being counted are indeed belong to his tribe. He's, so to speak, the tribal elder, the leader. He confirms that these people belong to this tribe. Because sometimes there could be a doubt about, which tribe a person belongs to, what yichus he has. Good, so you need an adjudicator, the leader of the tribe. But what connection is there with this Nasi of this particular tribe to all the other tribes? That we should say he joins in with Moshe and Aaron, they go together, all of them, to count all the tribes. So that's why Hashem now comes and says, Eile keruei ha'edah. So now, as Rashi already told us, there's a big chiddush. At the beginning of the sugya, at the beginning of the topic, Rashi says, the count took place at Moshe and Aaron and all the leaders. Now, Rashi further enunciates and explains. Later, when it says these are the ones that are called by the community, Rashi now injects a pirush, which allows us to understand why they were part of the collective count, not just on each tribe. Because now the Eibishter is giving them a new appointment. He's saying, besides for the fact that they are the Nasi, the leader of their particular tribe, they also now are called Keruei Ha'edah. They get a new appointment, in a sense. You are the 12 leaders. You are the ones that are called. You are the ones that are called for anything of importance to the entire collective community of the 12 tribes of Yisrael. They have a connection, and they are connected with the entire Eidah, with the entire community, with all Yidden, not just with their particular Shevet. Zion. According to this, we'll understand that when we are describing the Nesiim, the Pasuk says, Nesiim Matei Savesam, they are the leaders of the tribes per each group of families. And then it says, Rashi Alfi Yisrael, him the Torah calls them the heads of the thousands of Jews, of Yisrael. L'cheira, here, we would think that it's only relevant that they're leader of their particular tribe. Why does the pasuk continue and emphasize here that they're the leaders of the entire Alfei Yisrael, the thousands of Yidden? But the pasuk wants to emphasize here their greatness bichlal, their prominence bichlal. They are the heads of the entire thousands of people of Yidden. And therefore, they are worthy to be called Keruei Oeda, the ones that are called by the community for all matters of prominence and importance, the entire community. And that's why they all participated with Moshe Aaron in counting all of the Jews. Says the Rebbe in square brackets, listen to this fascinating thing. It's going to become yumtak, it's going to be sweeter, it's going to fit in even more when you understand the Pirush. What is Rashi Alfi Yisrael Heim? There's a Pirush that says that this means they are the leaders of the Alfei. What are the Alfei? The thousands, not the thousands of Yidden. The ones that are in charge of the thousands. Remember, the Yisrael system is there's Sarei Asores, Sarei Chamishim, Sarei Mei, Sarei Alafim. There's the head of tens, there's the one in charge of 100, the one in charge of 1,000. So different levels of leadership. There are Asorim, there are ministers that were overseeing 1,000. Within them, they had 10 who oversaw, each one oversaw 100. Now, the total amount of the minyan of each, of the number of each tribe was always a few hundreds and more than, it didn't round off to the nearest 1,000. You had thousands and several hundred, right? Now, what happens if you need a leader of 1,000 people? What happens if the tribe had, I'm just going to throw out an example, 20,000 and 300 people? What happened? Who is the leader of those 300? So basically, what we're saying is that there were overlaps, there were, so to speak, over the nearest 1,000. You joined a few different hundreds from a few different tribes, and they became and upon them was a Sarva Elef, was a leader of that 1,000. So let's say there was 700 in Reuven and 300 in Yehuda over the nearest 1,000 mark. Take those 700, those 300, and they had a collective leader, somebody who was in charge of that group of 1,000. Which means there was an overlap, there was a mosaic there was a few shvatim possibly together in that group of 1,000. Which means that the Nesim were on top of the leaders of the Alofim. Rosh Alfi Yisrael was saying that the Nesim, the leaders of the tribes, were the next level up. After the ones in charge of 1,000, you had the Nasi in charge of the people in charge of the thousands. But that means that if they were in charge of a 1,000-person leader, who his 1,000 was made up of more than one tribe, so the Nasi was also already connected to more than one tribe. He had to be not just sectorial, he had to be universal for more than one tribe. But this is what the Eibishter is doing here. Keruei Oeda, these now become a collective of 12 Nesim that they become called for everything of Chashivus for the entire community, not just for their Shevet. Ches. According to this, we'll understand another thing we asked. Why does Hashem have to say their names here? We know their names. Again, we haven't yet said their names in our reading of the Torah. We're going to read it in Nasi, but this already happened chronologically a month ago when the Nesim brought the Karbonis. Because as we already learned earlier, what we just said, the Rebbe said, is that Rashi taught us that the Eibishter is giving a new appointment. And by giving the new appointment, Hashem is giving the necessary koiches. It's very important, very, very, very important thing we have just for our lives. If Hashem is giving you an appointment, Hashem gives you a mission to do something, Hashem gives you the koiches. So now that He's appointing them, He's giving them the new energies to be not just sectorial, not just in charge of their tribe, to be universal people, to be able to have the vision of Klal Yisrael. And Hashem gives the energies by calling them by name. As we see earlier, when Hashem appointed Betzalel and so on to build the Mishkan, He says, Re'ei karasi v'shem Betzalel, see that I have called by name Betzalel, and I've filled him up with the spirit of Hashem to be able to build the Mishkan. Calling someone by name, Hashem putting out that name in a revealed way, and so to speak, enunciating it, gives the keiches. That also is a form of bestowing the energies that are needed, the keiches that are needed to carry out this shlichus. This is what is going on in our case as well. Through the fact that Hashem calls out their names to Moshe Rabbeinu, this achieves and creates a new appointment, a new inyan that they didn't have before. They now became Kruei O'Eda, the people that are called by the entire community for everything of Chashivos for O'Eda, anything of importance to Klal Yisrael. And with this, we'll also understand why the second pasuk says, "Vayikach Moshe Aaron." Why do we have to say Moshe Aaron actually fulfilled it? He says, Moshe Aaron took these people that had been identified by names by Hashem, because there was a new Nesinas Koyach now, a new minui, a new appointment by Hashem of these Nesiim. So there had to be a new taking. Moshe Rabbeinu also we're saying Moshe Rabbeinu took those people in their new appointments, in their newly bestowed position. And that's also why Rashi comments when it says Hanoshim Be'elu. Rashi says these 12 Nesiim, which Hashem had enunciated their names there. Why does Rashi add that? It's actually not two Dibur HaMaschos, not two headings of Rashi. It's one, Rashi's kind of injecting some words, but it's just a continuation of how to read the pasuk with the flow. Rashi is saying, he's saying the pasuk and inserting few words. He's saying Hanoshim Eila, these people, and Rashi that's from the pasuk. Rashi says these 12 tribes, Asher Nikvu, again is back to the pasuk Leikam, which Hashem had said here, B'Shemus, by name. What Rashi is saying is, they're not other people. Rashi is not trying to tell us they're not other people. We wouldn't think there was a conspiracy. Maybe there's some other people that somehow we don't know about. No. Rashi's saying these people that we just spoke about, they were taken now with there's a new prominence there got. Asher nikvu leikam b'shemus. They were called here by name for this new role that Hashem is giving them. Even though Taka they wouldn't see him before. But Rashi is emphasizing they were now called by name. That's why Moshe Aaron take them now. Because it's a new taking. Before they were each one part of their own tribe. Now they rise to the place where they have to be involved in Klal Yisrael. And that's why the pasuk says, we asked why don't they call them Nesim? He says they took these people. Because the fact that Moshe Aaron took the Nesim to count the Eden, it's not because they were Nesim and connected to their Shevet, their full-time job, so to speak. Their main role was to be a Nasi of that particular Shevet. Moshe took these people as people, not just as leaders of their tribes, but as people that have now been selected to be, so to speak, the presidium of Klal Yisrael. The people that are responsible and called for matters of importance for the whole Jewish community. However, it's not so galactic. It's not even ganzen galactic. It's not totally smooth. At the end of the day, safe. Why was there a need that what was the purpose of this? Why was there a need for every Nasi to be part of the entire count of all the Jewish people? We understand, therefore, that Hashem made a new min, a new appointment. He made them Kruya Eda. They're called for Davar Shevachshus. But why? Why did they need to be elevated to having a shaykhus to the entire Jewish community, not just to doing their focused job and being in charge of their shevet? So the Rebbe says, whatever way you look at it, it doesn't seem to be needed. If you want to talk about the general count is counting the entire Jewish community. Mainly, you need to do it through Kloli people, you need to do it through general people, the people that have a connection to the entire community, the unit, the singularity of the Jewish community. So it should be enough, like the previous counts in the book of Shmais, that Moshe should do it himself. Or Moshe and Aaron, those are both people that are shaykhs to the entire Klal Yisrael. If you want to talk, however, about that Hashem wants now in Bamidbar, there's a different kind of count. The individualistic count of every shevet as a unit. So, you want to take the Nesim, Seder. For that point, it's enough just if they're individually connected to each Shevet. Why do you need to create that the Shvatim here? Why isn't Moshe and Aaron enough for the collective of the entire community, and for the individual count, each Nasi just for their Shevet? Yud. The connection is like this. The inyan of counting the Bnei Yisrael is, as Rashi has pointed already out before, to show us their belovedness to Hashem. Counting something shows the belovedness. Counting the Yidden shows their endearment. As the Shalah explains, through counting it, they become a davar chashuv. There's a concept in halacha when something is sold by the count, by a unit, not by weight or not by volume, but by a unit, it means that every unit has a significance, and it's not bottle. It doesn't become cancelled out by berei with a majority of other matters. In other words, for example, you have if eggs are sold by units, so the unit can't be bottled, doesn't get cancelled out. So if the Yidden are being counted here, each one individually, each Yid maintains his unbottleness, is the inability for him to be, so to speak, lost into oblivion. But there's two parts to this count. When we're showing the love, which is brought out by counting, has two parts to it. In the earlier counts, when all the Yidden were counted as one klal, one collective, without being divided into shvatim, and Hashem just, the Torah records the entire count, 600,000, whatever the amount is. That was coming to inform Loidia and to reveal the virtue and the love and endearment of Yidden, the way they are in the one collective, higher than being divided into individualistic people. What does that represent? That highlights the indivisibility of the Yid, that every Yid is exactly alike. Where is every Yid exactly part of one entity? The Etzem HaNeshama, his essence of his soul. There's no difference between one Yid and another in the quintessential spark and the Etzem, in the essence of the soul. However, the count in our Parsha Bamidbar is coming also to highlight and to reveal and to emphasize also the individual milas, the individual virtues of Yidden. And there are differences. You can't compare the particular virtues and advantages and strengths that one Yid has to another Yid. Each one has, there's a diversity, there's a difference. And that's why here they had to be counted, each Shevet had to be counted separately. Because the 12 Shvatim are different. Yes, they are different in where they would live. In Eretz Yisrael, they got different places to live. In their study of Torah, in the way they had Parnasa. As we see it in the Brachas of Yaakov, as Rashi explains over there, there's Zevulun who's going out in the ships and doing a merchant businessman, and there's Yisachar who's sitting and learning, and they're in Sanhedrin. Everyone's different. Each Shevet is different. From this we understand that if they're different in their business and in their learning, then obviously their Avodas Hashem has a different hue, a different flavor for each Shevet. And in general, we say there's 12 ways. 12 general ways in serving Hashem, which Klal Yisrael is divided into 12 Shvatim and 12 different ways of serving Hashem. As we have in Chassidus explains, Reuven is the Avodah of Re'iyah, serving Hashem from a position of vision, Shimon from a position of hearing, and so on, as is explained at length in Chassidus. There's 12 different ways of serving Hashem. There's difference, there's diversity. Yud Aleph, nonetheless, even when we're counting every Jew here, and we're counting them as different entities, different individuals, every Yid is also counted as an equal unit in the collective count. Not more and not less. Each one is counted as one. Which that shows, the Rebbe says, as we've spoken many times, and that in the count, there's something about counting which unites everybody. Everybody is equal, even when they're being counted according to their families and according to their tribes. So, in other words, we have two aspects here. We have something, dover veipuche, we have something and its opposite. We have two opposites being incorporated in one thing. In other words, even though we're talking about counting the Yidden in the way that they're divided into tribes, so we're looking at the individual attributes of every tribe and every Yid separately, and there are differences when you look at each individual for their individuality. One has a higher level. Even before we look at tribes, there are some that are sheikhim, the leaders. There are some that are the water choppers and the wood choppers and water carriers. which the way the Torah describes it was not actually a difference in how they made it. Also, it was actually a difference in their capacity, in their level, in their level. So l'cha'era, if you're looking at the individualistic attributes of each person, you can't just count each one's with a unified, a uniform one. On the other hand, we're looking at individual qualities, but we're still counting each one as one. So what's the connection? How do you connect these two opposites? Yeshlema says that the connection between counting both aspects together. What does it mean? What does this tell us? The fact that the fact that we're counting the Jews here based on their individualistic qualities is thus nicht nur in the mile of Yadin or the Sheva Zichlein. It's not just to bring out the advantage and the virtue of each Jew or each group of Jews, each Shevet, in and of itself, but the count is in order to show how each of these individual advantages and virtues together create the Koyma Shlema, the one body, the one mosaic, the one unified but diverse body. Which this Inyan, the way it was in the count, literally, says the Rebbe in Hara 36, they were counted each tribe, and then the Torah says how many there were collectively. In other words, the fact that each individual with their individualism brings wholesomeness to the klal, to the generality, there's no ischalkus, there's no division in the value, there's no different levels in the value of each of them. In other words, just like when we talk about a complete body, we need the head and the brain in order to be a complete body, but you also need the foot to be a complete body. So each one is individualistic, but each one is complementary and not missable, so to speak, not forget the word, critical to the totality, to the wholesomeness of the entire body. So that's why each one, to say the head is not a head and the foot is not a foot, yes, they're individualistic, and each one has its virtue, which has its advantage. But by pointing out their advantage and how they each contribute to the one body, in the fact that they're all needed, they're all equal. Each of them is needed to be a complete body. And this is also the explanation why the Nesi'e Hamatas, why the leaders of the tribe had to be participatory in the count of all the Eden. And that's why Hashem elevates them to a position that they are now called, the ones that are called for matters of importance and promise for the entire community. Because in counting each individual Shevet, which you would think is their main focus, their individual tribe, there also needed to be their look as community people, as the collective people. That it's not just a separate unit that their tribe has with their individualistic virtues, but even their individualized Shevet the Nasi of that Shevet needs to see how it's part of the full collective of Klal Yisrael. Thank you.